Okay, this is the homework from 3B, Unit 3B, Part 1. Okay, so here we are, 3B Part 2. This is kind of a longer lesson. It's really the heart of some of the sampling methods here. It's some big ones here. So other sampling methods. So we have other ways of sampling other than simple random sample. So one is called stratified random sample. It might help you to know what the word strata means, or stratum. They have shared characteristics or similar characteristics. You could break a group into strata like boys and girls, or old people and young people. Any of those things are stratas. So stratified, you're basically breaking them into groups first, and then selecting a simple random sample from each group or each stratum, so to speak, there. And that's a really pretty good way of doing a sample, actually. So the idea of a stratum is you break them into groups or stratums here. So in this case, it makes sense for high school students to be broken up by grade level. And then inside of each of those stratum or group, you're going to do a simple random sample. So you're going to pick some of the ninth graders. You decide in advance how many of each one of those, but it'd be the same, and you could do a simple random sample of each grade level. That's called a stratified random sample. Sometimes it helps to picture this to get the idea of what's happening. Big key is you're grouping them, and then you're taking a simple random sample inside of each group, essentially. Cluster is quite a bit different. So is a group of individuals that are located near each other. You could do a cluster like your zip code, or by streets, or any kind of group that you're a part of already or something. Usually it's kind of a pre-existing group of some kind. It could be your homeroom. It could be anything. A cluster sample, like your ALAP. So the cluster sample is a sample, selectively chosen clusters, and doing a census inside of that sample, inside of each group that you are choosing. So let's draw a picture of it. So first, maybe you do it, break it up by ALAP or by homeroom class. You got a lot of different homeroom classes. So then you're going to choose, unlike a simple stratified where you kind of took a sample of each one, we're just going to do a simple random sample to choose which homerooms are chosen. Once you've chosen those 4 particular homerooms, you're going to find out everything about each homeroom. You're going to do a census. You're going to find out the answers to your question for each and every person in all of those 4 homerooms. So it's not a matter of grouping them and then taking a simple random sample of each group. It's grouping them, choosing however many of the groups you're going to choose randomly, and then inside of each of those chosen groups, you're going to do a census, or ask everybody to find the answer. That's called a cluster sample. Systematic is pretty easy to implement usually. It's in a very systematic way. So like if I were doing this, maybe there's a pep rally in the gym. I might say every 10th person, I'm going to ask them a question as they walk into the gym. So it's systematically being asked in a somewhat random way, in that I don't know who's going to come through the door next. But that's the idea of it. So to choose by asking every 20th voter that goes by, usually on the very first decision, so you wouldn't start with the 20th. Usually you kind of randomly use a randint or some way to randomly choose a number from 1 to 20. Start with that voter, like maybe the 6th voter, if that was the number you chose, and then systematically go by 20s in this case after that. So the 26th, the 46th, 66th, etc. You're choosing in a very systematic way. You can see we chose voter number 6, and then 26, and then 46, and so forth. That's called systematic. Can be a nice way to do it. Okay, so this is one of our big examples. If you're in class, you might have like I think I printed this off so you have it. So you have to write it down in your notes. But student council wants to conduct a survey about the school library during the first 5 minutes of an all-school assembly in the auditorium. there are 800 students in this assembly. Here's a map of the auditorium. There's 800 seats there. And it tells you which grades are in what seats. And it's done kind of sequentially there in some ways. Describe how to obtain a random sample of 80 students using Stratified. So the question now becomes, how do you want to stratify this? Because, what's our method going to be to choose a group here? So if we've got this kind of group, we could choose an entire row, right? Like randomly choose some different rows. The problem with that is maybe I choose all rows with all the seniors in it. Like, I don't know if I'm getting a breakdown. So it just makes sense, doesn't it? So I think the easiest way for a strata, why don't we just do it by grade level, right? So let's just break it up by grade level, and then we're going to choose 20 from each grade level. So I think that would probably be the way to go. Let's see what they did. Because the student's library use might be similar among grade levels, so maybe ninth graders, use it in similar ways that other ninth graders do. Seniors, use it in similar ways that other seniors do. They might be working on different kinds of projects at different grade levels. So we're going to do it that way. For ninth grade, use a random number generator to generate 20 different random integers from 601 to 800. So they're describing their method. They're going to do a simple random sample inside of all those ninth grader seats, which go from 601 to 800. So you would get your calculator out probably. Okay, from 601, so rand int from 601 to 800, and I want to choose 20 of them. And so it'll choose 20 values between 601 and 800, and you can grab those or go one at a time. Do the same for the 11th, 12th, and 10th graders there. Each column of seats. Okay, wait. Oh, so this one's going to be cluster. So let's do cluster. Same situation. But we want to do a cluster. So cluster is kind of a pre-existing group. You could do. I was mentioning this. You could do by row, but I think the problem with that is I might be really heavy on one grade or another. So you're not really guaranteed to get all the different grade levels even represented. You may have missing all the seniors and missing all the juniors. So another way would be grab a column. If you think of these as columns, so like 4, 24, blank, 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 like the fourth one over from the right for all the columns on the left, like that would be probably the way I would think about doing a cluster sampling. Let's see what they did. Each column, the backstory can be used as a cluster because it's relatively easy to find out and hand out surveys to the entire column. Label the columns from 1 through 20. Use a random number generate to generate 2 different integers from 1 to 20, and give the survey to the 80 students sitting in those 2 columns. So that could be more efficient. I'm not sure if it's better, but it's more efficient. For sure, it's not bad. Note that each cluster contains students from all 4 grade levels. I kind of like that. So each should represent the population fairly well. Randomly selecting 4 rows as clusters would also be easy, but maybe over or underrepresent one grade level. I said that has some problems to it. Using systematic. So systematic means like as they're walking in, you start asking if there's 800, maybe every 10th person. You want to randomly select the first one you choose. So because we want a sample of 800 from a population of 800, we should select about every 10th student. But I do like to use a random number generator to choose what that first student would be. So go 1, 10 for rand int. It'll give you a student number, and you're just going to go with that and add 10 every time. If there's a pattern like there was here by grade levels, use that pattern to our advantage. In this case, doing columns worked really nicely because I got 1 of each grade level every time I chose a column. So here's a few problems to do on your own. We're done with the lesson, but if you want to practice, there's a problem. I'm going to show the answer. You can stop it, try it, and do the problem. That's the answer for A. That's the answer for B. That's the answer for C. And that's your lesson for today.